Woohoo! We good? I apologize. We ended up with a snafu on the breakout rooms not being big enough. So I don't think any of you were with me in my group right before this, but I had an invitation only group in here. So I came out on stage and I said, hey, this is an invitation only, but we have overflow that people can't get into breakout groups. This was invitation only, so if you say no, then it's no, but would you be okay if we invited them in? And they all went, let them in. And I thought that was very cool. Yeah, I thought that was cool. So what that was that I just did was, if you go back to the beginning of Mega Camp, you had to have a production requirement to get in. And then what happened, of course, is over time, people said, hey, could I invite a recruit? And then next thing you know, the recruits they were inviting didn't meet the criteria. I'm talking about all of you, by the way. Or your predecessor, whoever, but before long, there was no requirement to get in, and it just kind of became what it is, So we did an experiment, and that is we went back for a couple hours today, and we had it as invitation only. And I really like that format. I'm just letting you know that from now on with Mega Camp, I'm going to go back to an informal couple of hours based on performance criteria, and kind of have a Mega Camp within a Mega Camp kind of a thing. So we're just going to do that. So you wanted to go through. So this by the way, the next couple hours are very informal. We're probably going to go for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, if that's okay. I didn't realize that we had to do this, and this is important. So it
would be really fast too.
Well, you don't have to be fast. We're giving you the time.
We just did a couple breakouts. How many team leaders went to one of the Command for Leadership breakouts? Nice. General feedback, you like it or not like it? All right, cool. So we're just going to take 5 to 10 minutes. And by the way, thanks to Greg, Leslie, and Jason for doing those. You guys were awesome. But if we can go ahead and change the screens over to my screen. This is just to give the rest of the leadership teams a kind of a quick preview in what's happening. Before we go deep into the way this works, I'm going to see how I'll zoom this in for us really quick. Live demos are fun. Just like when we launched Kelly, and just like when we launched Command, they were 2 years old, and no different with Command for Leadership, right? So this is not there's no fireworks going off, there's no celebration champagne. This is the first step on a journey to building something together to help us take unfair market share. And so we're pretty excited about some of the things it does, but more importantly, we're excited about starting this journey with you guys. And the whole point of this tool, as Jason said in the Command for Leadership breakout, is we've focused a whole lot on recruiting conversations, and we've got to now focus the same amount of energy on the retention side as well. And we need a tool that helps us balance those two things together. And so the idea here is not only to help us have better recruiting conversations, better retention conversations, make us smarter about the market, but the other thing that's going to happen is we're all going to have one language. When we all use the same tool, and we all use the same operating system, and that same operating system is the same operating system your agents are using, all of our language gets simpler. All of our language becomes the same, and that's actually powerful in itself. And so the first thing you're going to see is we've got this dashboard, and this dashboard breaks down kind of the key metrics that we all watch and measure. The coolest thing about this dashboard is that as you in the leadership role are just using the tool, all the numbers are updating automatically. And so first thing you'll do is you'll come in on a monthly basis and set what your goals are. And so look at that, 40 appointment goal. Isn't that ironic? And then we're going to have 30 productive appointment goal. We're going to have, and I can change these. Like, these are just the ones I've already put into the system, but I can come in here and completely change this and saying, actually, I'm going to have 35, 30, and I'm going to net 29. Nah. But we can go through and set these goals up. Once we set the goals up, the data that comes in below here is actually coming in from the Winmore system. So when you do transmittal, we're seeing your expenses, we're seeing your revenue, and we're pulling that information automatically. And so that's all automatically filled in for you. And so you're going to be able to take this once you set your goals. And then as using the system, we'll actually show you where you are in the month against your goals, where your actuals versus your goals. And let me show you kind of how that works really quick. When you come inside of the recruiting section of this tool, the very top of the screen is the same environment, the same engine that runs opportunities for command for agents. But this is your recruiting pipeline. The only difference with the recruiting pipeline or the opportunities inside of Command for Leadership and the agents is the agents is massively flexible. They can do any permutation they want because we know every agent's massively independent. We actually think there's some strategic value in creating one language, as no matter what market center we're in, no matter how we're doing this, we all have a kind of a similar process at the highest level, and you can customize it below that. And so we actually see this being the stages from have it reviewed. And the reason that's really important is because that's the plumbing, if you will, and I'll show you how this works in a second, whether we're getting information from the MLS, or whether an agent in our market center is sending us a recruit, or any other way that recruits can be coming into our pipeline, it goes into this haven't reviewed column. Once they're in this haven't reviewed column, I can simply filter down my pipeline by clicking it and start to filter and sort and look at the different people in this stage and working them into okay, I've reviewed it, now it's time to go contact them, now it's time to schedule the appointment, now it's time to actually hold the appointment, and then they either get committed, meaning they're joining KWMC, or we're gonna put them on some type of nurture campaign, or we can star them from some other business case. And the cool part is as we just work people through this pipeline, again, all that information will update what's happening here. So we don't have to go update information or manually put that in anymore. The other thing that we're actually doing with that integration is we're pulling in all of the Winmore transmittal system. So your entire agent roster is preloaded into your command here. And we're going to start, you're seeing we're starting to pull all this data together in our entire environment to give you a universal view of your market center. And the reason this is important is because if we're being really honest with ourselves, and this came out in our labs, we're most likely to talk to an agent the day they cap. And then the very next day, we're off to the next thing. But there's all these business events that transpire while they're in their relationship with us. They grew their company by 10%. They added another team member. Their production's going up or down. Their average deal size is changing. And those are all reasons to contact them. And so you see the plumbing's already being built in right now so that as we continue this journey, command's going to start watching their production, both inside and outside, and saying, hey, you may want to reach out to this person because A, you haven't done it in a while, and B, this interesting thing's happened in their business. For instance, they've doubled their production by this time last year. And so we can actually prompt you, like, this is a strategic reason you want to reach out. We're also going to be pulling in more and more command data. So right now, it only pulls in right now how many contacts they have inside their command. We pull in their current listings, their year-to-date units, their production, and their production goals. And so as we we add more and more inside of here, we imagine in a short order, you'll actually be able to see what their goals are that they've set in command, how are they doing to their goals, and then when there's deltas there, you can actually have some insight to help them reach out and have those kind of fiduciary conversations being their mentor. When you drill into an agent, whether they're being your roster or recruit, just like in command, we integrate and track all that activity. Phone calls, text messages, interactions, meetings, and all that gets tracked in one place. You can also add custom tasks, and when you add tasks, those get aggregated into all of the entire task engine that we have, both for recruits or your agents in-house, and then that will be integrated into your Kelly like everything else. When they have team information, we'll subsidize their agent roster page here. We'll give you all the information about their team. So as their team changes, you can always go inside of command and understand what's happening at any given time. And one of my favorite parts is this needs analysis. So whether they're a recruit, and then when they join KWMC, we allow you to go in and put their needs analysis, and I'll show you that in a second. But what that does is when you're in those recruiting conversations, figuring out how they can build a bigger business and a bigger life with you, and you start building out the KWMC prescription, that stays with them. And then as they go on the journey, either in the recruiting conversations or once they join, that then becomes the jumping off point to build deeper relationships, always remembering what their needs were when they first joined. The really cool thing about that is, if you imagine 90 days after we're all using this, we can build reports going back to you saying, hey guys, the number one trending thing that agents who end up joining are really interested in are these 3 or 4 things. Does this make sense? And we're also going to allow you, one of the things, again, my team gets mad when I get too far into the roadmap, but I get really excited about this, is right now we let you store their needs analysis in their prescription. You'll see this kind of prescription right here, and you can go and edit this. Once we actually build the prescription in here, we're already working right now to actually build them in an individualized, personalized experience for that recruit. So once you map out that they need better coaching, they want residual income, whatever those value points that made sense for them, we'll then build out a custom journey for them with a link that lets them walk through a world-class kind of marketing experience on the why Keller Williams might be the right answer for them, helping support the conversations you're having with them about those specific use cases. So the other really cool part about this is when inside of Command for Leadership, we actually help you find recruits. And if I come inside of here, I can go anywhere in the country. So I'm just going to pick on Austin, Texas. We're going to drill into Austin, Texas. And what it's going to do is it's going to look into the local MLS or MLSs, and it's going to start aggregating all of the data that we either know or have integrated with. And so this is a map of Austin, Texas. We can go all across the country. Those little blue boxes are all the neighborhoods. All the agents over here are all the agents that are active in that local MLS. If I click on one, you'll see I can start seeing their active listings. And so this gentleman has 2 listings with 0.02% market share. If I drill in, try to find someone with more than 1 listing. So here's 28. So these red dots represent all of the listings of this agent. I can filter by my market center, by Keller Williams, all Keller Williams, or all brokers. And when you find someone that you're interested in, when you hit this little button, this will add them into your recruiting pipeline for you to go through the review process. One of the coolest parts, though, that you're all probably wondering is, if you're finding other KW agents, don't have an add button. You can't add other KW agents to your recruiting pipeline. Everyone else is fair game. And when you drill into like a neighborhood, what we actually will do is show you now for this neighborhood, here are the agents that have active listings in this neighborhood, and you can actually see what your market center's market share is of that neighborhood. And so for the first time ever, you're able to, with a few button clicks, figure out where you have a lot of market share to have one type of recruiting conversation, or you need market share to have a different type of recruiting conversation, and then you can target the agents that strategically make sense for those conversations. With one button click, put them into your recruiting pipeline, and then start the process. We're going to continue adding more and more functionality on this, which is, right now, this is heavy on listings. There's also a request that we're already trying to process on the buy sides. But the truth is, and again, if you're in the Command for Leadership Lab, you heard Jason talk about it, we should all be hyper-focused on agents right now carrying inventory. And one of the things that Jason said I thought that made a lot of sense was, maybe instead of saying we should have only a 40 appointment goal, what if we said we're going to take 50 listings? We're going to find whatever agents we needed to take 50 signs or 100 signs or 200 signs this month. And we have a tool now that allows us to do that and have really targeted conversations about how these agents are doing in their city, in their neighborhoods, and be really hyper-focused.
You got 1 minute.
The last thing that I will show you is, I'll just close on, this is a journey. When you log in, there's going to be a button that you don't like. There's going to be something that you're like, that's weird, that's stupid, why'd they do that? And you're exactly right, and it probably shouldn't have done that. And so here's my ask, though. Stay curious and stay partnered, because if you log into this and you start using this and something frustrates you and then you opt out, what's going to happen is three things. The first thing is that our ability to all have one language and collect that data to make you smarter and let you take more market share is going to get really challenged. The second thing is we'll no longer be able to get feedback on how to make a better tool for you. And third, most importantly, if you opt out of the technology of this journey, then your agents will. And if that happens, then we all opt out, and then everything we're doing is for naught. And so the only thing, my closing remark would just say, this is a partnership, this is a journey. We appreciate you guys a lot. We're excited about what we're going to do with this. And that's it.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. So we're excited. And all he was telling you is he's apologizing up front for the fact that what we're going to be handing you as team leaders is at the same stage that Command was in February. Has a lot more functionality than that, but it looks that way. And then we'll go on a journey together to get it going. All right, Sajid, you want to come on out? I raised your chair. So we did this in the session before this, and that is, I want to talk about CV for just a second. I'm not sure why, as an organization, we don't embrace it more, but it is a true failed opportunity, right? When you think about the CV process and the KPA inside of it, I want you to think of it this way. If you're looking to get into a relationship with someone, you CV them. If someone needs to help with their performance, whether it be an agent or whether it be an employee, you CV them. If somebody needs to begin to be ushered out the door for whatever reason, you CV them. In other words, CV is your answer to every people, situation, question that you have. And I kind of want to demonstrate a little bit today. I kind of want to do my human guinea pig here has joyfully agreed to play along with me. And thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
As we demonstrate this. But I kind of want to walk you through this. I want to talk to you as a little bit while I do this. We're not going to go deep into this. But we're going to take about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And I want to demonstrate to you exactly how I think about it, how I use this tool. And then we're also going to get a little into the life journey. And I'm going to show you how I do that as well. And I'm going to talk to you about that, okay? So one of the reasons why I ask them to get, these are chairs out of my office. The reason why I ask them to do this is so that it could be as real life as humanly possible. So in this scenario, Sajid has agreed, let's just say he's a top agent. He could be a potential employee. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to treat him, by the way, exactly the same. And I know that seems a little odd to you, but the truth of the matter is, it's exactly the same. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're a brand new agent. It doesn't matter if they are a $20 million producer, $100 million producer. It doesn't really matter. Are they applying for a position of employment in your market center? It doesn't matter. You go through this process. And one of the reasons this is important is because your agents should be using this process. And again, as market center leadership, if you don't embrace this tool, and it is simply dynamite, and if you don't embrace it, your people are not going to embrace it, and then you're harming them by not making sure that they take advantage of literally what you provide them in terms of people technology. Okay, so let's kind of go through this. So the setup is that we either met before or we had a conversation. If he is an agent, most likely what's happened is we met, we had a conversation. In that conversation, I asked the question, have you ever taken a behavioral assessment before? Right? Have you ever gone through a process to figure out your strengths, your weaknesses, and use that process to analyze your entire company. Have you ever analyzed your entire company that way? By the way, invariably the answer is no, because they haven't. And at best, they use a DISC, which is a liar. So they haven't done that, right? And then I say, you know what? I'd be happy to help you go through and do an audit on your organization. It would start with you. So if you wouldn't be offended, let's get back together. I'm going to send you a link. It's going to take about an hour, and I apologize for that, but I think you're going to love it. And then we'll get together, and I'll start with you, and I'll demonstrate what we're going to do for your entire company. Because one of the things as team leaders that we're not doing is we're trying to present our way to success with top producers instead of consulting them and coaching them and training them to success, right? To bring them into the organization. And I really want to talk about the skill of coaching and consulting and training people into joining your organization and demonstrating a simple skill that they can use in their company, but simultaneously helping them audit their own organization. Nobody offers that. And if you went around the city and all you did all day long as leadership was offering real estate agents to consult their organization and help audit it operationally, you would get appointments and you would quickly become kind of a different kind of a leader in the real estate business. So let's do this. So we're gonna role play this, if you will. Okay. We're gonna use your actual behavioral assessment, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So thanks for coming. I really appreciate you giving your time to do this. So when you took the assessment, they asked you questions, you gave them answers, and based upon that, they looked at patterns, and then they came back with what we would call a behavioral profile, which you're familiar with.
Yep.
So what I like to do is just read this to you in pieces, and then we can talk about it. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Awesome. So here's what you told it. You said that I will work best in a fast-moving environment in which I can utilize my assertiveness in accomplishing my goals. Does that seem accurate to you?
It's accurate. It's accurate.
So when you say accurate, what are you saying accurate? Are you saying that you work best in a fast-moving environment?
I do move fast, so yeah, I don't like things that are moving slow. I get bored quickly.
So I want you to notice what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm writing. Now, understand that I'm about as aggressive as they come. And as a result of that, I don't like sitting like this. This is a little torture for me, slightly. And so I kind of, the way that I make this work in my life is I have a routine, and I go through the routine. And the routine is I sit in a comfortable chair, and this is right out of my own office. I sit in a comfortable chair, I get in a thinking person position, right? And I write. And one of the reasons I write is because it makes me think about what he said. In the absence of writing, we're just talking, and it's going to go right over my head, and we're going to start talking fast. And this is about me trying to understand him behaviorally. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is slow this process down, which is going to be a little torture to a lot of you. I'm going to slow it down, and I'm going to really try to understand who he is, okay? So I'm going to read him bits and pieces, and then we're going to stop and we're going to talk about it. So when you say this is you, and you say you work best in a fast-moving environment in which you can utilize your assertiveness, are you assertive?
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily assertive. I'm dedicated. If I commit to something, I'm going to get it done.
Well, you said that in an assertive way.
I'm assertive then.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. So when you think about assertiveness, right, what do you think assertive is?
I'm driven. I'm not going to let anything get in my way.
Okay. Can you give me an example of where you've done that professionally in your life?
Sure. I'll use a Red Day volunteer project that we did for our area. We did Red Day from the first time I came to KW, and I fell in love with the project. We were helping out veterans. And we started out the first year, I think we did like 12 homes. I took it over the next year, we did 24 homes. We went to 48 homes. We did 100, still wasn't quite happy with where we were. So I really wanted to bring all the market centers together, and went out to all the market centers, pitched it to them on what we wanted to do, and that year we did 248 veteran homes in one day, and we fed 1,000 veterans.
Wow. So how did you assert yourself in all of that? Because you could do all that and not be assertive.
Sure. It was getting buy-in from the leaders. It was really I took everything upon myself. You know, the business was put aside for a short period of time because that was my one thing at that point that I really wanted to give back, and I just did whatever it took to get it done.
So you said earlier that you were driven and you wouldn't let anything get in your way, and that's kind of your view of assertiveness. So in your example, what you're saying is that's how you approach that.
Yep.
I got that. So you said that your ability to take charge and do quality work is who you are. Is that right?
Yeah.
So when you say that you take charge,
I own it. The results are mine.
and when you say the results are yours, what do you mean?
If I fail or if I succeed, it's mine, right?
Yep. And the word quality work came up. What would you think quality work means?
I'm pretty detail oriented, so I double check everything. I'm not going to just put something out there. If I'm not pleased with it, or if it's not to the level that I would be satisfied, I won't deliver it. I'm going to make sure that it's something that I would be happy with, having my name attached to it.
It says that you can be creative in working with concepts and ideas, but will keep your people contacts purposeful.
Yeah. I'm not a social butterfly.
Okay.
If people haven't seen that already, I mean, I'll put my head down, I'm going to get it done, and I'll reach out to people when I need to. Otherwise...
So are you unfriendly? Y'all shut up.
I wouldn't say I'm unfriendly. It's perceived that way until people get to know me. I'm actually a very caring person. And once you get to know me and you understand where my head is, you'll see I'm actually really, really friendly.
So how do you help people get to know you so they don't think you're a jerk?
Communication, right? They need to know why I do what I do, and it's not about me, it's about helping others. You know, the things that I do in my life are not about me.
So let's have a moment here for a second. So, and thanks for playing along, but one of the things that you saw me do was I pushed him around, right? Now, why did I do that? I want to see how he responds. I want to understand how he behaves, right? And yeah, I wanted to watch the reaction, because remember what I'm trying to do is a couple of things. One is I want to understand who he is. And in order to do that, we're going to have to look at this thing from multiple ways. Secondly, if I'm thinking of getting into business with him, I kind of want to understand if he can, how tough he is. I kind of want to see, what does it look like if he's challenged or if he's pushed around a little bit. I want to see what that is. I'm not going to be rude. I don't think I was rude. and I'm not in any way going to be obnoxious about it. And I'm definitely walking up to the line on this, by the way. But I'm going to do this because for me personally, I want to work with individuals that have a thick skin to a certain degree, and they're not, the first time that I, in fact, don't say something the correct way, that then I get judged by that individual as being rude or insensitive or not a social butterfly, if that makes sense. So that's what you saw me just do, okay? It says that you are assertive and you are competitive and you will strive to make a major impact. Do you think you're competitive?
I'm competitive.
You're competitive? Why are you competitive? What creates that for you?
For me, it's, I'm going to use what you said. I mean, and you've been saying it. I don't like to settle. I don't know what my full potential is, so I'm going to push myself to do things that I haven't.
Gotcha. And it says that you want to make a major impact. What does that mean?
So there's a purpose behind everything I do. I won't do things that are unintentional. And regardless of if it's business, but things that I do with my family, there's a reason why, we do everything that we do. Mm-hmm. And, that concept really came in play, with watching my father. He migrated here, and he always worked extremely hard. Regardless if we had money or not, he would always give. And, that influenced who I became. So I want to leave something that makes an impact on other people. And the things that I do, the opportunities that I look to create for the people in my world is so that it can change their lives.
It says that you'll make decisions quickly and is particularly aggressive in the way you think. You like to make quick decisions?
When appropriate.
How would you know?
I look at I'm an analytical person, so I'll quickly analyze, okay, who does it impact? If it's something that's going to impact a lot of people, or it could potentially negatively impact someone, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to think about it. And yet, I'll use a real estate transaction, for instance. If it comes down to it and it's closing day and the moving trucks are sitting outside and title hasn't closed, or there's something that's delaying it, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it done. I'm going to make it right for the client. So if it's putting them up in a hotel, I'll take care of it. If it's personally going and moving them, I'm going to go do it.
What if you move too quickly and you make a mistake?
I've made a lot of those, and I learn from them. I journal a lot. I write down my mistakes, and then I look at, okay, what am I going to do differently next time?
It says your hard-charging nature may cause you to continue in a certain direction when it would be more effective to stop and regroup.
There's been times when I've made plans and because I'm so determined to make things work, I'll continue down a path.
So do you think you're hard charging?
Well, it depends. How do you interpret hard charging?
I don't know, I'm asking you.
So, in my world, what it means to me is I'm going to keep pushing until I don't have another path or I don't have a resource that can show me the way.
So it says that could cause you to continue in a certain direction when it would be more effective to stop and regroup. Do you think that you've hard charged and
Yeah, I'll
pressed?
exhaust all my options.
Can you think of a moment where you actually pressed and ended up in the wrong place and had to regroup?
I mean, I'll hiring people, giving people, not firing quick enough. I put a manager in charge of one of my businesses, and it was the wrong hire. And I wanted to give him a chance. I wanted to let him self-discover, and it just wasn't happening. It went on a little too long. And regardless of how much I pushed him and continued to try to pour into him, it just wasn't working. And I probably held on to him 12 months too long.
Yeah, this is actually talking about making quick decisions that would cause you to end up in a place you don't want to be.
I had a business that I went into, a brand new franchise coffee shop that I jumped right into without doing my due diligence on it, and the business failed.
What happened?
Franchise filed bankruptcy twice in the time that we were franchisees, and it ended up causing me to lose $250,000 in cash.
Ouch. Was it something you did, or?
Just the franchise, the market had tanked. It was 08, 09, when the market was going down, and with the franchise, there's no local support. We were the only ones within a 3.5-hour radius, so there was just no branding. All the marketing fees that we were paying them on a monthly basis wasn't there. I did a lot of door-to-door sales with businesses, but people were hurting for money.
Yeah. Yep. What could you have done differently?
Going back, reflecting on that time, which I did because that was my turning point in my life, was I would have researched the opportunity a lot more than what I did, instead of letting my emotions just kind of let it take over.
So since then, do you research things better?
A lot more.
So it says that you're highly responsive and can actually be impatient and excitable. Do you think you're highly responsive?
I would say yeah.
So what are you saying yeah to?
I'm saying yes to I'll accept the challenge.
So you could be impatient.
Yes, I want everything done yesterday.
Why is that?
Great question. I don't know. There's something in me that always wants more. It's just not enough.
So you have a strong need to be correct.
I wouldn't say it's a strong need to be correct. If I'm going to stand up for what I say, it's because I truly believe in it. I've done the research. I have the content to back it up. I'm not going to just say that I'm right for the sake of saying I'm right. Yet, if I am going to stand up for something, it's because I truly believe in it.
Do you need to be right?
No.
So you disagree with this statement because it says you have a strong need to be right.
I don't need to be right.
Okay. So it's okay if you're wrong.
Yep.
Why?
That's how you grow, right?
Are you wrong a lot?
Fair amount.
Give me an instance where you were wrong.
Well, I mean, the instance where I just gave you where I made the wrong hire.
Gotcha. So when you knew you had done that, then what'd you do?
There was red flags that I ignored. So yes, I did know that. Going back, reflecting on it, going through the process again, had I known some of the processes that we have now when I was making that hire back then, I would have avoided it. The writing was on the wall.
Says that you try to make your decisions on the basis of solid evidence and objectivity.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
It's gathering the facts. People, I mean, I hear it from you all the time, is people have lived before us, right? And if you don't go do the research, you don't go read the books, and you just plow forward, you're gonna end up failing.
Yeah. Is it okay to fail?
Yeah, it is.
So you want to fail?
Well, yes, and the failure is okay as long as you're willing to make the pivots or the corrections so that you don't make that same mistake twice, right? And so if it's failure for a lack of going into an unknown territory, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. If it hasn't been tried and tested and I fail, I'm okay.
Says you won't make concessions on important issues just to placate or accommodate others.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. Says that you will not make concessions on important issues just to make someone happy.
That's true.
Why not?
Pleasing people in my mind doesn't get you anywhere. It's when you get yourself into a bad situation, or you end up making the wrong decisions.
Says you have a need for structure and order in your work. You like structure?
I do like structure, and yet I also like the challenge of not knowing what's coming next.
Do you like to create your own structure, or do you like someone to give you structure?
Combination of both.
Can you give me an example of where someone gave you structure you liked?
MREA.
Says that you like to be assertive and will push your agenda and will want to make sure that you are correct. What do you think?
If it's something that I know is going to make an impact, we're going forward.
Yeah. In other words, when you believe that that's the right path, you're going to push for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Says you're a doer who concentrates on your performance rather than attempting to direct or influence others.
I don't agree with that. I am a doer. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I do believe in empowering people. I can only do so much on my own. I need a team.
Why?
Success through others.
What does that mean?
For me, it means being able to have the things that I want in life, be able to do the things that I want through life, and opening the doors for people for opportunities that they didn't know they had.
Why do you want to do that?
Because I think there's too many people in this world that put roadblocks up for themselves because they don't know what's at the other side.
says that you will be direct in your approach to leading others.
Yep.
Yep. Thanks. I'm going to stop here. So, you get it? Do you feel like, even though you may have never met this gentleman personally, do you believe in the last 20 minutes that you got to know him? That's right. Do you like him? Yeah, me too. I have no idea why they would clap for that.
I don't either.
Yeah, if we could have questions, we'd have a dialogue between you and I about what you're observing right now. What I want you to notice is that when I decided I wanted to tune you out, I tuned you out. And when I tuned you out, it became a little more intense for him. Now, understand, normally there would be no observers in the room anyway. But this is about trying to understand who a person is. And the best way to do that is to begin, honestly, with behavior. Now, here's one of the things, let's just talk about this for just a second. I don't actually need a behavioral assessment to do this, right? I could be at a party, I could be just talking in the hallway, and I'm not, now, you could do this, you could say, hey, subject, on a scale of 1 to 10, how aggressive do you think you are?
I'd say an 8 or a 9.
Now, why would you say that?
I'm driven. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to where I want to.
And why would you say you're not a 10?
There's certain things that I don't control.
Gotcha. Can you give me an example of where you've been aggressive in your business?
Yeah. In 2000.
You can stop. Do you see what I just did? So let's just pretend I don't have an assessment, but I understand behavior. So I understand that I'm going to be very curious around how he approaches tasks, which is a level of aggressiveness. I'm going to be very interested in how he approaches people, how he works with people. I'm going to be very interested in how he communicates, how he deals with failure, right? And because I know that these are the things that I'm going to find out from an assessment, I don't need an assessment to get me into the conversation. I can get into that conversation. Now, there's another way I can get into this conversation, and that is we happen to be talking again in the hallway, or I meet you at a party or somewhat of some event, and you tell me a story. And as he's talking and telling me a story, I fall into that mode of I go, whoa, that was aggressive. You're an aggressive guy. And he says, not really. I said, no, I mean, really? I mean, you seem like aggressive, so you don't think you're aggressive? No, not really. Well, you just told me a story that you were aggressive. Yeah, but that was a blah, blah, blah. And I'm into the conversation. I let him start with the story, and then I went backwards. Or I can ask him how aggressive he is, and then I can ask him to give me an example. I can get into this conversation any way I want. That makes sense to you? Which means that because I'm looking for relationship, I'm looking for people, I'm going to be very purposeful at a moment where I go, you know what, I like this guy, or I like this lady, and I would, right? I want to get to know them better. So if I'm out on the recruiting trail, or I'm standing at the coffee machine in my own market center, and one of my people comes up to me, yes, chit chat has value, make no mistake about that. But simultaneously, as a leader, I'm going to have a conversation around the basic behaviors, and I'm literally going to try to see if I can understand him better. And in the process of getting to understand him better, how's he going to feel about me? What's he going to feel about me as a result of this? He's going to like me. And the reason he's going to like me is because I just, in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, showed more interest in who he is than he's been shown in weeks, months, who knows how long. That makes sense? This is like dynamite. This is like kryptonite. This is like one of your superpowers, right? If this is a people business, how you treat people matters. It matters off the chart, right? If you don't learn the skill of talking around behavior with people, how are you going to do your blankety blank job? How are you going to do it? And by the way, I know, because I know how many KPAs are ordered. Sorry, I know. As a group, you get an F. As a group, some of you get A pluses. Some of you are below F. And then you say, and then you lie and you say, well, I use the disc. But you got to understand something. The disc is a liar. The disc is a liar. It is close to worthless. It is close to worthless. Now, if you're really good and you really understand behavior, you can take any instrument and turn it into a valuable tool because you understand behavior. But the disc is not going to lead me into that conversation accurately. It's not going to do it. Most of your market centers, if not maybe everyone in this room, you've already paid for the right to use unlimited KPAs. We should be seeing out of a market center, now this is my soapbox for just a second, we should be seeing out of the market center, we should be seeing 10, 20, 30 KPAs being ordered by a team leader. You do understand that. Because what it would mean is that you're out there getting into relationship in a meaningful level with people that you're trying to have real relationships with. And you understand the value of behavior, so you're literally saying, hey, you wouldn't be offended. I'd like to give you this, and let's see where it goes. That makes sense? So am I going to see KPAs go up? Do we have to have this conversation again? You do what you want. I will just tell you right now, you know, when the first time this was done to me, it was like taking a scalpel out and opening me up. I could not believe it, really, and it was so eye-opening for me, right, that it was transformative. It's like I met someone who finally understood me, and of course the person who did it didn't know me at all. They had simply just given the assessment and then walked me through the conversation. But the bonding that occurs when you understand someone at this level. Now I want you to notice one last thing I'll point out, and that is I wasn't chit-chatty with you, right? In this moment, I'm going to square up, and we're going to be close enough that this has a sense of intimacy to it, and then I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to let you answer. If you noticed, I didn't reflect back anything, did I? No. In no way, no matter what his response was, I gave nothing, right? This is all about him. I want to understand him. And in order to do that, I don't need to let him off the hook. I don't need to have a conversation with him about any of this. This is not a conversation, if you will, right? Now, every now and then you can break down and go, yeah, I understand that. You know, well, yeah, I actually do that too, or whatever. Sure, you can do that. But you do a lot of that, and that means you have completely digressed off of what you're trying to accomplish. By the way, the reason why this is important is because your top agents are failing in this area. You do realize that when I hold a mastermind with our top people, Colette, do you know what we talk about most of the time? This is their number one problem. And I will tell you that one of the reasons it's their number one problem is because they have a lot of OPs and team leaders who don't give a crap about this number one problem. That you're not training it in your businesses. You're not embracing this as the number one skill. Remember, it's I do it, we do it, they do it. The second that they want to move from I do it to we do it, they need to be taught these methods. If you're not teaching it, where are they going to go to get it? And the thing that drives me crazy is when a top agent says, well, I don't get anything from the market center. I promise you, if I went inside that top agent's business that just said that, we're going to find a crappy hiring process, and we're going to find people that are not performing. We're going to find people that are messing up that organization. But that individual looks up and says, I don't get anything from the market center. I promise you that if you offered to audit their organization every year, to do KPAs on their entire organization, and then look at the job matches, and then sit down with them and talk about who's succeeding and failing, you do understand they charge between $20,000 and $50,000 a year to do that. You did know that, didn't you? They charge between $20,000 and $50,000 to do that kind of audit. And here you're charging a cap, and they say don't get any value. But that's just crazy. The number one thing they need is something that you have in the palm of your hand. That as a business, you actually pay for the rights to do this in an unlimited manner. And yet when we look at our statistics, what we see is we have the vast majority of our market centers don't do this at all. And I'm happy for anyone to stand up and go get a microphone and tell me what the hell's going on. When I get invited into an agent's business, this is the number one issue they have. This is it. They don't make good hires. They hire out of pain instead of gain. And as a result of that, they end up with people that put ceilings on their business. And they don't really realize this is going on. You have the tools, you have the methods to help them, right? Most of you, if not all, weren't here before. We had Josh Anderson. And Josh, over the last 10 years has built up an amazing business. He'll crest over 100 million in production. And you know what he said about this? He said, when I told him to take it 18 times, he took it 18 times. And he mastered it. And then he built a huge business around it. Now, if you embraced this and you went back into your world and grabbed your top people, and every month you made sure that this CV process was being taught in your market center, and that you were right there in the room with them, taking it or teaching it, and you got your people to come into that classroom, and in the process you then left and worked with them on their people challenges, oh my gosh, you would revolutionize your market center in a whole nother level. You would become one of the most famous businesses in your market. If you're a team leader, you would become one of the most powerful team leaders on the planet, because you hold the power of what makes businesses great, and that is who you're in business with. Okay? Can I get your word that you'll redouble your efforts and embrace this? Yes? Okay. We have a few more minutes, so we're going to switch gears. So the way I would handle this is I would do this. This takes about 45 minutes to an hour, okay? And we actually were literally we were a little over halfway done. So we probably had about another, maybe even 20 minutes, and we'd have been done. We'd have been over that. And then what I would have done is I said, Sajid, I want to switch gears just for a second, if that's okay. And miraculously, I have a flip chart. This actually is right out of my office, right? And so I would say, let's switch gears for just a second. And I want you to notice again that what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this as close as I can to him, right? And the reason is because I want him to concentrate. I want him to see this, and I don't want him seeing other stuff. And then I'm going to just write up here. I'm going to write date. I'm going to write event. This is my language. You can write any language about this you want. I'm going to write ahas, and then I'm going to write money. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, where are you from?
I was born in Wembley, England.
Yeah? And when did you come to the United States?
1983.
And how old were you?
Right, 3.5.
So, okay, so you spent most of your life in the United States.
Yeah.
So, what was your last formal education? Was that high school, college?
College.
Okay, so what year was that you graduated?
2000.
2000? So you graduated in 2000. Where did you go?
University of Pittsburgh.
So you went to University of Pittsburgh. Did you get a major?
Yep, information science.
Okay, so information science, and what is that?
Well, it was information science with a minor in computer science.
Okay,
So software programming.
gotcha. So you studied programming.
Yep.
Any ahas from that when you graduated? When you look back at college and you drove out of town, anything, what did you think of college? What did you learn? What was your aha?
My aha was I was going down a path that my parents wanted me to go down, which wasn't working for me. And when I found the path that I wanted to, everything fell in place.
Ah. Now, why were you going down your parents' path?
To please them.
And why did you want to please them?
Well, because they were busting their butt for me.
So time out just for a second, and I love that, by the way, about you. I want you, now you saw me do this before, but did you just see what I did? I never accept the first answer. I go for the second answer. I go for the third answer. Until and all I'm not pressuring him, I'm just trying to understand. And so I'm just going to keep asking, and I'm going to peel the layers back till we get to a sense of who he is. And you notice we wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't have asked 3 questions. If I'd have stopped at the first one and I'm just doing this, we don't get to this moment where he says, I did it essentially because I love my parents.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a phenomenal answer. That's a hard answer of the biggest kind, right? And it reveals a lot about character. And we don't get there if we don't ask that, right? And by the way, interestingly enough, is when you peel back those layers like that, then the person you're doing that with, they have a moment also. It's not you having a moment, he's actually having a moment, because that's an emotional thing to him. And he's reliving that right now. And I want you to realize that he's reliving it with me. And that creates a bond between us that you can't get rid of. I got what he said, okay? I understand that. Did you work in college at all?
Had 3 jobs.
You had 3 jobs. What'd you do?
I worked nights at the computer lab.
Okay.
I worked in medical records during the week. And then I volunteered on the weekends in PT, physical therapy.
How are you qualified to do physical therapy?
It was a volunteer job, so I went.
Sorry, we all had to laugh at that because, yeah, haven't seen anything up here that said that you were qualified to do that.
Well, that goes back to following the path of my parents, which I was pre-med.
Ah, okay, well then there you go. You're pre-med, gotcha. Now it makes sense. We take our laughter back. Okay, cool. So what did you earn your senior year? Any idea roughly?
Well, all through college, I worked. I paid my way through school.
So again, what did you earn your senior year, do you think?
So, going through this,
Pick a number.
I knew how much I made.
Yeah, just pick a number.
It's probably about 12, 15,000.
Gotcha. So what happened next? You graduated and...
So I need to back up. So the summer of 2000, I was getting ready to go into my senior year, and I wanted to get an internship in computer science. So went on an interview with a small startup company in Pittsburgh, and I was up against a bunch of Carnegie Mellon software engineers. I had an uphill battle coming from University of Pittsburgh, didn't have much experience in programming, and walked in and I told the company that, look, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to have this opportunity, including working for free.
Wow.
And that stood out for them because they didn't have money. So I got it.
So what'd you do? That was was that 2000 also?
I was in 2000.
Okay. So what'd you specifically do?
So they gave me a book, 1,400 pages. They said, read it, and we want you to build this. So I read it, and I built it in 2 weeks. And what I built was an
Did it-
online storage system.
Did it work?
It worked.
Did they pay you?
Nope. Oh, it gets better.
Any ahas from that experience?
That's when I found out that this is what I wanted to do.
Well, what did you?
Programming.
Ah, you realized that's what
I wanted to build it. I wanted to build things.
So what happened next?
So after I got done with that, they gave me a prototype of the actual application that they were going after venture capital money and stuff for. They showed me some screenshots that they had built out on Microsoft Visual Basic. And so it was a desktop application, just images of it. And they said, we want you to start prototyping this and building it out. And the 1,400-page book that they gave me was Microsoft ASP. So I took the book and I built out their prototype in 4 weeks so that they can go present it to colleges and universities.
And what happened?
Everyone liked it, so they offered me a job in December, which I did take with them, even though I had multiple other offers on the table at that point.
And what did they offer to pay you?
I took the job for $54,000.
What was your aha during that experience?
For me on that one, the opportunity meant more to me than the money. I turned down a job that was $85,000 with Deloitte just because I knew this was going to be a bigger opportunity.
Let's stop there. So, thank you. Do you get it? Do you see what's happening? What's wonderful about this construct is it gives us an organized conversation. It gives me a script that I can continually walk him through that allows us to kind of understand this journey that he's going on, and we kind of understand it in a time based on timeline. That's important. And then we understand what he was doing. And then we understand what he was learning or wasn't learning or what he thought about it. And then we're beginning to get a sense of the kind of income he earns. One of the things, remember, everyone has a trajectory in their life. And remember, when we go into business with someone, what we're trying to do is help them understand what their potential is, or for us to understand what it is. Does that make sense? In other words, if we meet a person in time, let's say it's a graph, and we meet a person in time, remember, when you go to go through a process like this with someone, what you're trying to do is answer the question, what direction are they going? Correct? But here's the problem, and that is the only way you're going to know what direction they're going is from where they came, right? So if, by the way, if he came this way, or he came and did that, or he's doing that, right? Or that's it, or that's it, or that's it, right? These spots matter, and this is called his past. So the number one way to predict the future is to understand the past. And that's why we do it, right? Now let's look at this for a second from you helping your top people hire people. Are they looking at their hires from the perspective of where they're coming from so they can predict what they're going to get? Because what happens to a lot of them is they end up hiring people that do this or this. Most of the hires that your people are making are living in this world right there, which is why their businesses, for the majority of the time, aren't what they could be. Does that make sense to you? And by the way, this simple little tool, you can teach them. You could, shoot, I remember when Jim and Linda McKissick They were looking for someone to run the McKissick group, and they asked me to help them. And this is several decades ago. And Jimmy brought his brother to Austin. And so I told them to go sit in the next room. And then I sat down with him, and we went through a version of this. Back in that day, it was called something different. But we went through a version of this process. When we came out, they asked me what I thought of Brad. And my answer was, if you don't hire him, I am. And oh, by the way, they hired Brad, and that was the end of it. They never hired another person. Literally just ran and built the business. Unbelievable, right? But look what role I played in their life, right? Look at the value that I brought my partners in Denton, Texas. Now, by the way, all of you as leaders have the capacity to bring this value to anybody that you're associated with. You have, without a doubt, the finest behavioral tool that money can buy. You have it. It is literally that good. And number two, you have the tools to help understand who someone is, right? So I beg you, if your job is to help people grow and you're not getting a master's in understanding behavior and the process of how to understand people so that you can either advise them, right? So think about this. Someone's not achieving or struggling in their job. Can you see how you could go back to a behavioral assessment and go through that with them? Because what would we discover? They're not a good job match. That's what we would discover. We would discover the reason why they're not excelling at that job is because what the job requires isn't what they like to do. Does that make sense? Yes. Or we can go here and we can work through the whole thing, and what we realize is the job that they're doing was not the next natural thing in their life. Does that make sense? This wasn't a natural progression for them. This wasn't the next step that they actually should go do, right? This was not an option that they should have taken. Does that make sense? We good?
We're good.
Thank you, young man. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, so we have, how are we doing on time? Y'all good? Okay, so we have 3 groups, and then we're out of here. So if we could get our next group out here, that would be awesome. Not the mortgage guys again.
It is the mortgage guys again. There we go.
All
Hello,
right.
everyone. How you doing?
You're interlopers, so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes. All right. We can. That's good. You know, so this is leadership. I did kind of want to start out with a couple things in terms of leadership, Gary, because you have challenged us to be the thought leaders of our area and be the thought leaders of our community. You've been the thought leader of this industry for years and have led through many different things. And so what do leaders do? Leaders teach people how to think, how they should think, so they can get what they want when they want it. And so the fun part about that is that means we have to be different leaders because it's a disruptive time in our market area. It's a disruptive time in our industry. And I think leadership is at a premium right now. People are looking for leaders and how this goes. And so if we're all challenging our people to go back and say, hey, we're going to be thought leaders of our industry, the fun thing you told me that made me feel a lot better is I don't have to be a thought leader I don't have to think 10,000 steps ahead. I just have to go think 1 step ahead of my people to help them get better. And so today, we thought we'd spend a few minutes as Keller Mortgage, but as a tool for the leaders in this and how this actually helps our leaders think like leaders and actually offer a solution in this time of change. We've talked about Amazon. You've talked about all the things that are out there looking differently. Well, what happens is we already have that savings in Keller Mortgage. We have different ways to look at it. And so we have a market center here that's done great. And so I'm going to have them.
Well, we have a tool that's disruptive that isn't being used.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a tool that was designed to be disruptive, and so,
It
but it's only disruptive if we use it.
That's right.
If we understand how to use it, then it makes it disruptive. If we just go, this is the same thing as everything else, it's not disruptive. Then we're just average, we're not shiny, and nothing really changes. And so I want to spend a few minutes. You guys introduce yourself. Gary gave us a few minutes. So
Awesome. Teresa Flood, co-team leader at KWMC Dallas Preston Road.
And Tommy Flood, co-team leader at Dallas Preston Road.
excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. So why don't you guys start us off a little bit? So how long have you been using this? How did this start? Because I know it didn't start the best.
So I was reluctant at first. It just felt a little scary right at the beginning. And I went to the mega camp last year, and I sat in a room, and I realized, wow, what a mistake, and I'm failing my people because I'm not jumping on board with this quickly. And I heard John Maxwell say that leaders see things other people don't see, and they see things before other people see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized this is our opportunity. If we're going to lead our people, we have to see this before they see it. And when we're recruiting, this is our opportunity to have conversations that their brokerages absolutely are not having with them. And they feel something different, and yet I know all you team leaders out there that are talking to producers know they are not having these conversations. And it's our responsibility as leaders to jump on board with not just Keller Mortgage, all of the tools, and to jump on board now.
Right. So how do you integrate this? You talk about recruiting and retaining, and that's part of our job. So
Yeah, so we use it, like, of course, I think the biggest thing to retention right now is being the thought leader.
Yep.
Because our people are listening to everybody in the world with the podcast. And so if we're good thought leaders, and I know early adopters are the best thought leaders. And so we have to be early adopters. We have to be quick to retain that way. And then I also, we have a mantra around our market center that, oh, I have that too, never wins. And as the other disruptors are coming with tools like this, and we're sitting in a listing appointment, or we're talking to our client, we're like, oh, we have that too. We've already lost.
Yeah.
And so we really have that mantra that we push around our market center, and we really push that for our retention and our agents to be competitive right now.
Absolutely. Just asking the question with recruits, what is your broker doing to help save your commissions? And they have no answer for that.
because you hear this, and you've used this in your leadership parts. By the way, how have you done this year? What's your have you?
So
how's
we've
your
grossed
recruiting?
214 people year to date.
214 people year to date. All right, so absolutely, give them a hand.
Yeah.
And so, talk to me a little bit. There's a couple things I want to get out. So I'm going to actually jump over to the lead part, and I'm going to circle back around to the recruiting. And so because you've used this and put this as a value proposition, actually in more than one way. Because you didn't just go in. I mean, you guys, after a little while, you went all in. But it took a little while to get there, which is okay. I mean, we're all that. But tell me that story.
So we do, we have a mentoring program for agents launching their career or relaunching their career coming into our market center. And we decided that part of the value that we could give in that was to actually create leads for them at a premium back from them to us as a market center. And we ran, just the month of July alone, we ran $300 worth of Keller Mortgage Facebook ads. We received 157 leads, so that's $1.91 a lead. Out of that, underproducing agents, mind you, did 16 buyer appointments and 8 listing appointments. Wow. So they're we're spending about $13 an appointment on that aspect of it. So we'll see how that works out.
Well, the fun number was we did try that, and we just said, hey, let's try it. What happens if we did this? And it wasn't even a very good ad. And
no,
we didn't crush it on
it's nothing flashy about it
on the marketing side of this. But you had a 15% conversion rate, 15.2 to be exact, 15.2 conversion rate on your appointments or in your leads to appointments. So they were quality leads, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
What did the Facebook ad say?
Looking to buy a home, find out how you can get no lender fees and $1,000 back at closing. Click here to find out how. Nothing flashy.
Right. Yeah. Imagine if every agent in your market center spent $300.
if everybody went back to their market center, what would that do? I mean, what are we spending for leads? How does that impact? I mean, you can shift a market if you think about it differently.
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you from the MREA perspective, the return that you just described, hands down, it would go to the top of the list of return for money invested to generate a lead.
Right.
Yeah, $12.50 appointment, something like that. So
And our people aren't doing it.
no,
The market centers aren't doing it.
no.
And the agent's not doing it.
No, not yet. Tomorrow they're going to though. So we're starting
How long
there.
does it take? I mean, this is the moment, right? And people say, well, you're getting into our space. We own a mortgage company, or we have an MSA or whatever. What do you say to that?
So, well, we lost some of our MSA. But the money that we make in return on our agents in the increased productivity, especially in our new agent world, we've taken the philosophy that Keller Mortgage is how you do business at Keller Williams Dallas Preston Road. We don't adopt anymore, we're integrating. So if we have a lead generation class Monday from another market center, a couple of agents are coming in to teach, and our qualifying question to them was, do you use Command and Keller Mortgage to teach lead generation? And so, I mean, everything that we do in training, we have an 8th level open house, which is Keller Mortgage added into it. Everything that we do is implemented into that. So that's our push in that. And to
Because it's something that you have that your competitors don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it starts as something you don't have, and that just is kind of going towards pleasure. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area that we are, it's a competitive market. It's almost becoming, as I said a couple days ago, I mean, it's almost a necessity right now just to be able, because everybody's competing. You have all kinds of discounters. You have Redfin. You have Open Door. I mean, we have everything in there that is out trying to prove themselves in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and so we're the biggest target. You know, our offices 700 people. They're a target, and so you have to offer a lot of different things in different ways, and they're amazing at what they do, and so.
Well, we're looking at that email that comes out with our stats on our pre-approvals and then our approvals through Keller Mortgage, and we're grading ourselves, though, on the pre-approvals, because we know that means our people are using it as a tool, right? So they may or may not choose Keller Mortgage, and obviously the numbers they will, because it's an amazing product. We know we're doing our job, though, when their customers are clicking the link and going through that step.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think it actually messes up the MSA? I don't think it does it?
Well, I will tell you this. So we've had, I believe, so we had some of our individual agents that their mortgage lenders have actually doubled down on the amount of money that they spend with them on other advertising, because they're understanding that having an 80% shot at 8 buyers is better than having a 100% chance at 3.
Yeah, that's the kind of conversions our agents are seeing at open houses when they're utilizing Keller Mortgage. They're seeing the same activities produce such better results. Mm-hmm. And so competition, everybody wins. Everybody gets better.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here's reality on that. Of the 14 different market centers that I'm fortunate enough to get to run and work with, some left. But what I found is after 2.5 years of doing this, the true value lenders, they're now wanting to come in to the space. Yep. And they're saying, all right, you're doing good, fun things. You guys are where the market is. This is something, we're not afraid of this. We're going to do something different. And they have come back in. So it's actually every time where we've lost one, we've added 2 or 3 different ones back more. And what that's done is it's actually increased our value everywhere. It's increased our value with Keller Mortgage. It's increased our value with our customers. I mean, it's back to an experience and back to talking more business.
Well, I love what you did, because if I'm a team leader and I understand this, I have to say I'm with you 100%. I'm not conflicted about my job. My job is to help agents make the most amount of money.
Absolutely.
And anything that does that, I'm going to do that as well as anything else. But I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure that they do that. I don't believe it's going to actually harm my other businesses at all. It's a lead generation tool, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, if you took a traditional mortgage and you ran a Facebook ad for traditional mortgage, how many leads do you think you'd get?
I'm not going to guess 157.
Well, I'd guess 0. I'd guess 0.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be 0.
Right.
And now you have a tool. I mean, you could literally sit down in a recruiting appointment and show an agent you're trying to recruit. You could show, well, let me show an example of what I did. If you were here, you could do this. And you don't have that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more in what you're saying. And one thing with that, you said it's going to hurt your business. The business we're in is real estate. It's helping our people sell real estate, helping to control our market. Mortgage side of this is an opportunity, but that's for us as market centers. If this will help you sell more real estate. This will help your people sell more real estate, which in turn make our business as the market center grow. So if we run a good business.
Let me just say this. Tomorrow morning, if a company like Compass figured out how to do this mortgage and they drove it through their locations,
Yeah.
there'd be hell in your market because they wouldn't be conflicted about it.
Right.
If you don't think that's coming, that's all coming.
Yeah, they would absolutely drive through that.
Yeah, this is a limited opportunity. This may have an expiration date in terms on the opportunity to take advantage of it.
Well, it goes back to,
Meaning that Redfin already has this in 5 states, just so you know. They already have it in 5 states. If they haven't come to your area yet, they're coming to your area, and when they do, they're going to do this. And if you don't think Zillow's going to figure this out, it's going to be hell in your office when all of a sudden your agents come in and say, "Did you see that Zillow ad for a free mortgage? Did you realize every person going to Zillow is being offered a free mortgage? 195 million people were just offered a free mortgage. You don't think they're going to do that? You're very, very naive."
Yeah. So I totally agree.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Gary.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Was not a waste of time. All right. All right, you guys, come on out. We're leaving. I like this sitting down thing. All right, Dustin, have a seat.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was my voice. That was loud.
This is comfortable time, so we get to be comfortable. Hi, John. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. I'm very good. All right, so let's talk being a team leader.
Let's do it.
Talking to you.
Great.
So-
That's sum up.
Yeah, so tell me what your biggest challenges are right now. We'll start with you.
Specifically in my market, Compass has been the most interesting factor for us.
Okay.
That and the iBuyer model.
Yep.
Obviously in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it's a very, very hot market for the instant offer. So that's become a very interesting conversation for us. So we've had to work very, very hard to make sure that we are clear on what our value is and really teach our agents to understand who they are in this process.
Right, right. So us getting into the iBuyer business and coming straight to Dallas here next month, is that going to help?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, big time. It already has. And my agents are already texting me. We're already having a conversation. And that was I was having a conversation with a team leader last night, and that was basically what we were talking about was the value of what Keller offers is just simply this. Talk to your current brokerage right now. What is their response to Zillow Instant Offers? What is their response to Redfin? What's their response to OfferPad, et cetera?
That's right.
Bottom line is, we just partnered in a big way to go back and go, here we go, we have an answer. And it's been the hardest part probably as a team leader, is that we haven't had the answer.
Right.
Because the agents are like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Boom, here we go.
Well, if we don't take advantage of our scale, and that's all you see us doing as an organization, is asking the question as a company, the success of our owners has created a scale. What can we do with that scale? And we should use it as a wrecking ball on the industry, right?
Absolutely.
A free mortgage is a wrecking ball in the industry. Coming back and with the Keller offers, being able to get our agents as much commission as possible. But the ability to run a Facebook ad that says, "We'll buy your home,"
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So now, so soon, next month, every agent in that area will be able to say, once they get qualified and approved to offer the program, can run those ads.
Yeah, it's like all these.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's like it's all wedging the agent back to the center of the transaction.
Yeah,
That's the whole point, right?
yeah, that's right. John, how about you? What are your challenges right now?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that I see, Gary, I would say that being a team leader is a lot like running a mega team, which I did for 15 years before I became a team leader. And I understand E2P really well and went through it as a real estate agent, went through it as a leader of a mega team, and have gone through it as a team leader as well. And one of the things that I've discovered is market centers go through E2P. And
Yes, we do.
yeah, yeah. And
Yes, we do.
you know, in 4 years, we had great gross numbers and net numbers in 2016, and then 2017 was a challenge. And we moved some people around, got the right people on the team, made some changes. And my biggest aha in that process was your executive leadership team is part of the wall of value. And when you get the right team, you're in a rocket ship,
Yeah,
and
that's
the
right.
sky is the limit. And then in 2018, we just took off again, and
Yeah,
we
you
had
did.
amazing growth.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and now we're back to working on fixing a few pieces and making sure that we've got all the right players in all the right positions, and we're just experiencing breakdowns and breakthroughs.
I like that. Michelle, how about you?
I think our greatest challenge is letting our agents know that a shift is coming. Because right now they're just selling houses left and right, and we have a lot of agents, at least with us, who've never been part of a shift. They don't know what that's like.
That's right.
And so I think our greatest challenge is to let them know this is coming. I've been through shifts. I know what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
And so just getting them to realize, and they'll go, Michelle, we're looking at the numbers and the interest rates are low. What are you talking about? A shift is coming. And we just saw yesterday they were talking about recessions right on the horizon. And then
They're talking about it more and more.
yeah,
That's
and,
right.
and we watched what happened with the market. And so
That's exactly right.
I think in addition to that, getting them to realize the biggest shift out there is the tech shift.
Hmm.
And I think they're starting to see it. I mean, when I pull some of the numbers of some of these other companies out there, they're going, holy cow, they've really made that much of a dent. I said, yeah, and we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I agree. So here's the question I really want to ask, and that is from your position as superb team leaders, how do you, in your own words, how do you build an incredible market center in terms of agent count and profitability? Because all three of you have really just, honestly, I mean, you've succeeded at a very high level.
Thank you.
What do you think? What's the secret? If I were a team leader and you were talking to me today,
Yeah.
and I said, man, I want to be you, I mean, or at least I want to get to where you are. How do I do that?
I think it starts with vision first.
Okay.
That was the first thing that came up. In 2016, I was working with Smokey and my MAPS coach, Brian Martin. Shout out. And what we planned is a vision to constantly push way beyond. And the main thing was focused on centered around agent GCI and their earnings and the way an agent makes money so they can fund their lives. And so that vision was very clear. We have driven that vision home. For anyone who knows me, you know, I have other team leaders that can tell me my vision. So it's been something that's very, very important. And so it's created the why are we here and why are we pushing? So why are we talking about technology? Why are we talking about staying current in the market? Why are we doing all the things we're doing? Because it matters about your money and your lives. So I would say vision first.
Is that what you say? Is that the answer?
Yeah.
Because it matters about your money and your lives?
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely. So it's vision first, and then the next thing is we had to attract talented people to our leadership team, just like John was saying, to that vision to come be a part of this process with us. And that was the key thing. It made us very aware that we had to have leaders in every role. We had some employees and we had some leaders, and our leaders stepped up in a big way.
Yeah, there are no throwaway positions, are there?
No.
When you have a team, there's no throwaway position. Everybody needs to be a rock star at their position.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all leading and they're and creating value for our agents in some way.
Well, it's the law of the weakest link. So whoever your weakest link is going to define your team.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so we attached
A lot of
the
people
word
don't understand
team
that,
leader to
though.
that.
A lot of market centers and team leaders don't understand that. They have a good employee, and good is the enemy of great. And what they don't realize is that the difference between the person they have, or the behavior or the performance that they're currently getting, and the poor performance that they could get, whether they help that person grow or help them find another career path, could be the difference between 20 to 50 agents. It
Well, it's
really
lit.
can be that much difference, by the way.
Yeah, it's a lid. It just really is going to hold you back until you've upgraded or top graded in that position.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So what do you say, John? If I'm a team leader and you're coaching me or talking to me about, I want to be John. I want to, at least at the very minimum, get to the level where you are. How do I get to that level? What are the handful of things that I got to do?
I think you got to answer 3 questions.
Okay.
And it starts with your people need to know that you love them. It's critically important that you can convey that you care. If I'm meeting with you, Gary, and you're talking about being a part of our team, and we run it like a team, it's critically important that you get that I care about you.
Yes.
That you understand that you can trust me and that you believe that I can help you. You know, one of the things that I learned from Linda McKissick is that we attract talent with validity. We bring value over time. And as long as we have those 3 things, then we're going to attract talented people into our life. And then I think once people buy into you, once they buy into you as a leader, they'll buy into your vision. And the very first meeting we had way back in 2015 when I started as a team leader, I guess it wasn't that long ago, 4 years ago, when I started as a team leader, we had 61 agents in the office at the time. And out of the 32 market centers in the South Florida region, we were number 32. And I drew a triangle on the whiteboard and I said, this is where we're at right now. Here's where we're going. And it was way over here. And I said, now we're on a journey with a destination that is assured. And you guys have to understand what this means is we're going to become the #1 market center in our region. We're on a journey with a destination that is assured, which means we're already there. You have to get outside of time and look at time the way God looks at time. And when you can look at things that way, you're already there. All you have to do now is complete the journey. And when you're on a journey like that, you're going to run into obstacles. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be speed bumps. And the challenge with most people is when they run into those roadblocks, they turn around. And the tragedy is not that we fail, it's that we almost succeed, and there we are. And when I took that role and back in 2015, I didn't know that the first roadblock that I was going to hit was 8 days later, my 13-year-old daughter was going to be diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. 8 days after I accepted the role. Yeah. And that same year, while she was in the hospital going through treatment, we grew the market center by net 89. And we've grown from 61 to 320 today, and from 160,000 profit back in 2015 to $1 million today.
Yeah, I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
Pretty amazing.
Well, you know, Angie Andrews says that adversity is preparation for greatness, right?
Yeah.
And I've just been blessed with a lot of adversity.
I hear that. Michelle, what do you think?
I think,
What are you going to tell me?
well, I think really helped grow our market centers. It started with culture. You had to have a really firm foundation with culture. And then from there, I'd put 3 tactics under that. I would say then we focused on growth, we focused on productivity, and we focused on profit share. Oh. And if you wrap all that up and really hyper-focus in those areas, you can do some amazing things. I think another thing that was really critical that I learned as a team leader, because we started out at 110 agents, and we're now at 329, and what I realized is who I was as a leader at 110 agents and who I am as a leader now is very different. And leadership is an inside job, and all team leaders need to know we are the lid of our market center. Yeah. We always have to keep growing ourselves so we can grow our people and take them to the next level.
Yeah, that's right. When you say that foundation of culture, what do you mean? I'm just curious.
The Y4C2Ts, the predetermined way we treat one another, and also a big part of culture is productivity and having a life worth living. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that I came from 2 other franchises, and the biggest aha I had was how much KW changes people's lives. And I think if you can get that across in the culture and you make that just, and anytime I know when my office gets a little wonky, the first thing I look at is culture. Where are we? You know, are we serving our people the way we said we would?
I love that. So just out of curiosity, mistakes. What's been the biggest mistake that you've made? Okay, I'm going to rephrase the question. hang on, I'm going to rephrase the question. And that is, what is the biggest mistake you see from your peers in trying to build a big business? It doesn't even have to be Keller Williams. It could be your competition. But from a leadership standpoint, from a team leadership position standpoint, what do you think the biggest mistake that you see that's made?
I think we confuse loyalty in business settings. I even use this as a recruiting conversation when a Cap or Omega is talking to me about whether or not they want to join Keller Williams. And I tell them, listen, they're like, well, I love my broker. And I'm like, fantastic. You should love your broker. How does that impact your business? Like, I want to set aside your business loyalty and personal loyalty are two separate things. Business loyalty is a barter of services. You bring this, I bring this. When both of those things come together, we both live productive lives, and then we can have personal loyalty out of it. Yeah. And I think that's what happens, that most team leaders end up in the same situation, is we are loyal to a staff member. We are loyal to an agent. We are loyal to people that we know are not helping us get to where we need to go, and they are creating the limitations. And I think it's a very interesting conversation right now, because we're going to experience a lot of change. And we are adapting as an industry, specifically as a company, very, very quickly. And no matter what, we have to get there. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest challenge, that's been the biggest mistakes, is I didn't move quickly enough on replacing and top grading a position and giving people too much time to adapt to the change when they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. John, what do you think?
Well, I'd like to answer the first question you asked, which is the biggest mistake that I've made.
Yeah.
I immediately had an answer. In 4 years of being in this role, I realized recently within the last 16 months, that we were grossing 14 every month. We were always hitting our 210/40 numbers. We're building profit. We're growing. We're creating this incredible market center with incredible energy. It's just a really cool place to be. And my biggest aha was also that I was trying to do everything. And we were not going to break through the next ceiling until I was willing to be a great leader and not just a great doer. Yeah. And I think one of the mistakes that we make as team leaders is we're so caught up in doing that we forget that our job is to be a leader. So what we've done in the last 6 months is we've created a growth team. It is working. We're crushing it. Actually, I was really excited because I wanted to...
And what is a growth team?
Yeah, good question. So a growth team can be a lot of different things. Your executive leadership team can be a part of your growth team. And I also went to my ALC, and I painted a picture for them of what this opportunity looked like. And I asked each of them, where do you want your life to be 5 years from now? And now we're just really going to talk about passive income, not where do you want to be a couple months from now. And that's one of the mistakes we make with passive income, is we judge it based on a short-term result versus looking at long-term results. Yeah. And I painted a picture for them that included earning $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 a month in profit share. And I said, here's how you can do it. I want you to get on my team. Same thing as if I was a mega agent and I'm bringing in listing partners. I want you to be a part of my team, and I'm going to only focus on cappers and megas now, and I'm going to turn everything else over to you. And we're going to continue to hit our numbers, and in order for us to do that, you're going to have to hit your numbers on those appointments and recruits. And it took some time, but we met every single week. And we talked about, what are your challenges? How can I help you? Let's role play. Let's role play phone calls. Let's role play a recruiting appointment. Tell me what kind of objections you're hearing. And really, Gary, it was really interesting because it was nothing, 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 nothing. And then all of a sudden, 5 recruits in 1 week. And then 4 the next week. And I'm like, holy cow, this is working. And today is Thursday, so they've brought in 7 while I'm here this week.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, let me just say that's what the ALC was all about.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're doing is exactly what it's supposed to be. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
I think developing, for me, my greatest mistake, well, there was quite a few of them, I had to think which one to really point out, but developing our people. I think it was so easy to get caught up, like John said, we're growing the market center, we're growing the market center, and I had to look back and say, wait a second, I got to bring all these people with me. Not only, our leadership team, but also our agents as well. And I think it's just really important, and something you said to us this year when you met with all the team leaders, you said sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And I had to make some of those changes. I already knew that. For example, I went, okay, when I got back from some of your sessions, I decided to go ahead and hire a tech coach. Just some of the things that I need to do to change so I can help my team keep pace of what's going on, and just pouring into them and then making sure you have the right people on the boat with you.
Love it. So I'll ask you one last question then. If you were going to give us just one piece of advice, right, to kickstart and get our business to the next level right now, what would you tell me to go do?
Find smarter people than you.
Okay.
Team leaders, I lead a team leader mastermind sometimes for our region, and the thing that comes up is all my team leaders, we tend to try to do everything, kind of the E to P. We try to do everything, and what I've been fortunate enough is to surround myself. I'm not good at a lot of things, but what I'm good at getting smarter people than me around me,
Right.
and my team is amazing, and they do way more than I ever could even imagine gets done. In fact, so the joke has become, if you ask me what goes on in my market center,
You're not sure.
my answer is, I don't know, go ask them.
Yeah.
And I'm actually proud to wear it. At first I was embarrassed, but I'm actually proud to say that.
Sure.
And because I trust my people to do what they do, so I can do what I do.
Yeah, expect greatness, get greatness.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, if your mantra among your leadership team of the Market Center was, we deliver greatness,
Well,
and how will we measure greatness?
Yeah.
And get your people involved in behaving in a manner that grows greatness by delivering greatness, the world changes.
You bet.
The world changes.
Well, and that's something you talk about a lot, is about being a thought leader.
Yes.
And what I've added to that, because I've paid attention to you and even to Smokey Garrett, my OP, is you guys are thought provokers.
Yeah.
So it's not just a thought leader of I'm saying cool stuff. It's when you have a challenging thought in the way that you think about it, I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to poke at that, not in a rude way,
Yeah.
but just to make you develop that thought a little bit, so that way you realize, oh man, because that's what always happens. You always end up walking away going, wait a minute, that's not the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bigger challenge of, if we are thought provokers for our agents, for our leadership teams,
Yes.
then we continue to push the lid higher on our organization so we stop getting stuck.
Well, and what I hear from all three of you is ask a bigger question. If you want to grow a bigger business, ask a bigger question of your business, and then engage your people to help you answer that big question, right?
Absolutely.
John, how about you?
I had two that I really like, so I'm going to stick with one, and that's who you're in business with matters. Be intentional about the people that you choose to get in business with. When I first got into real estate in 2002, I partnered with Gary and Nikki Ubaldini because they were the #1 real estate agents in our market, and I wanted to build the #1 business. And because I'm a student, I realized that the best way for me to become the #1 real estate agent in our market was to learn from #1. When I became a team leader in 2015, the reason that I partnered with Alan Waxman and to become the team leader in Coral Springs and move south when I was really trying to move north and get out of the state of Florida was because he was a top team leader in this company, the only Hall of Fame team leader in the South Florida region. And I realized this guy's going to give me the opportunity to become the best team leader in this company. And if I'm going to do this, I absolutely want to be the best. And then it's important who you surround yourself with. So get into business with great people and pay attention to who's in your inner circle.
Yeah.
And if the people in your inner circle don't go to work every day working hard to make your life better, then you've got the wrong people in your inner circle.
That's right.
Because they belong on the outside of the circle, because those people are using you to make their life better.
That's right.
And you want to get into business with people, Gary, every day that come to work with one goal, and that's to make your life better.
I agree. Michelle, last thought.
Yeah, very much. I mean, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah.
And I've really grown to learn that. And there's so much opportunity with Keller Williams for you to get surrounded by great people. I mean, we've got team leaders out here who are doing amazing podcasts just to make you think bigger.
Oh, yeah.
You've got so many people who want to pour into you. You're just surrounded by that. And so make sure you're not the smartest person in the room. Make sure you're continuing to grow yourself. And I'll tell you, I think with the technology, with the culture, we have an opportunity just to blow the lid off. And I just think
we do.
And we just need to go all in and make that happen.
I think we do. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You're very inspiring. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, appreciate you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Very inspiring. All right, next group, come on out. Whew. That's awesome. Hi, Jane. Hi, Dennis. You're with who?
Gary.
Wrong Gary. That's okay. All right, tell us a little about yourself.
Dennis Ranch, operating principal of Federal Way, Washington, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yes. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Jane.
I'm Jean Rawls, and I'm the operating partner of the Rawls Group, and we're out of Atlanta, Georgia.
There it is. So let's get right to it. Both of you run phenomenal businesses. So what I'm curious is, how do you do that? I'm sitting in the audience and I'm thinking, at the very least, I want to get to where you are. I want to run a business that succeeds the way yours does. How am I going to do that?
Wow, great question. Can I go backwards in time a little bit to explain
Absolutely.
how we got to where we're at?
Absolutely.
So we started in 05, our first market center in 2005, it was Federal Way. We started off as a home run launch. We're doing quite well until 08. And we thought we had a bunch of cappers, and when 08 hit, we ended up with 2 cappers.
Ooh.
And one of them was me.
Oh.
So the odds were not in our favor to do very well the next couple of years. So my wife, Pam, was our team leader, and she's a phenomenal team leader, by the way. We got together and we said, what do we have to do to make this thing work? Because we started losing money. We were losing about $50,000 a year for 3 years. We focused on we needed validity in our marketplace because, you know, back when everybody could sell a house in 05 and 06 and getting a loan was, if you breathed, you could get a loan. We focused on who's been in the business a long time that is doing a ton of business and that would add validity to our market center. So we went out and started focusing on that, and that's all we did. And we also noticed one thing. We noticed that whenever she'd go on 10 appointments a week, and this is before 21040, if she'd go on 10 appointments a week, we always ended up with 10 recruits a month. So the pattern started showing up, and so we
Okay.
just started focusing on that. So,
Okay. Got it.
yeah. So once you have validity, then it starts getting easier. You start getting all the best agents
How do you get validity?
by adding those people who have validity in the marketplace, who sell a lot of houses.
Well, hold on. I can't get validity by adding validity. I have to be valid.
True.
So
yes.
how do you be valid?
You become valid through the people that you attract.
It is kind of a circle a little bit.
It is.
You're missing one piece. You had to be valid.
That's,
Yeah,
I guess.
it starts with you and Pam. If you're not valid, then you can attract valid, and when you attract valid, then more valid is attracted. So I understand what you're
Thank you.
saying, but
Thank you.
you're forgetting the one piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to be valid. Yeah. Now here's the question then. So how do you be valid? What made you valid? What were
we
the
did-
pieces? If we were trying to turn that into the 2 things you have to do to be valid, Dennis, what would be those 2 things?
Well, number one, you better be a good agent yourself.
Okay.
We'd been in the business I started in 1988, and Pam started in 96. So we'd been in the area for a long time. Everybody knew who we were. We had great reputations.
So you were valid in the marketplace.
Oh, yeah. But again, in 05 and 06, everybody was a capper, so you were just scooping up people. And then when the market turned, we found out who was really legit.
I got you. Got you. Jean, how about you?
I tell you, Gary, it starts with people around you, and it's what In the beginning, we've been here since 1999.
Yeah.
Very young. I came to you first pushing a stroller.
Yep.
So that tells you how long ago it was. But you taught us to get a core group of people.
Yeah.
And attracting that core group in the Atlanta Market Center, I believe really changed the absolute trajectory of that first market center. Those 50 people that came with us at the beginning were producers in Metro Atlanta that had stellar reputations of integrity, honesty, doing the business the right way, treating others with kindness. And we started with a core group that had those foundational qualities with a level of excitement that I cannot express to you. And that became contagious early on. Wow. And that gave Sandy Springs, the first market center in the state of Georgia, the foundation to grow to where it is today with 554 agents.
So how do you attract those people? How do you attract that stellar person?
Again, it comes back to, are you valid in the marketplace? At that point in time, we were a listing and selling couple that were very well known in the industry as treating people right. And then as our region grew with us, they were brand new and they were in their infancy stage. Having a woman like Kay Evans, who was extremely valid in the marketplace in Atlanta, piece by piece, adding those strong players together early on made a great difference on how the entire region then expanded.
Yeah, I get that. So, biggest mistake you made?
Too many partners.
Okay.
When we first started, we had 8 partners.
Okay.
We're down to 2 partners now.
Okay.
Well, one besides Pam and I.
So was this mistake too many or people that weren't engaged?
Both.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, 6 of them took off within 1 year and tried to start another market center.
Really?
Yep, and they failed.
Because they weren't valid.
They weren't valid. They were, yeah, you're right. They weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to have partners, you need engaged partners.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. In a privately run business, having passive owners can be a weight instead of a contribution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
That can be a
I think
challenge.
that's a challenge for many of us. However, at the time a market center is created, they added value because they may have been very present in the marketplace. But nothing stays the same in business. So as time changes, we have to reformulate the game plan to say, what's the best practice today? It was great 20 years ago, but today a change needs to be made.
Well, being involved, I think it actually is the challenge is that your need for help fluctuates with the market. So I think what you're really saying, if I internalize that, is it's not necessarily the number, and it has to do, and it's not necessarily that somebody took time off and did something else, but when the challenges occur, it's all hands on deck. And in that moment, in a privately owned business, it's all owners on deck.
Exactly.
It really is.
Yeah.
It whatever they can do, whatever is possible for them to contribute, you need contribution at that moment. Otherwise, it's a hand tied behind your back just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
It
Yes.
is.
Yeah, and you both experienced that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So if you were giving me advice today, Dennis, as an OP, what would you tell me? What would you tell me are the secrets to building the kind of business that you have today?
Don't be wasteful, number
Okay.
one.
What does that mean?
Don't get the stuff that you think you might need, but you really don't. The extras that, don't try to compete with someone like Compass that has, this concierge service and all these supposed things that they have. Get what you need to have, but don't overdo it. Don't go out and start supplying water bottles to everybody that comes in. Although we do that now at our office because we can afford it. But it's not being wasteful. You're watching every penny, everything. I mean, everything that everything we did was discounted. Everything we bought.
What I think you're really saying though is double down on your value.
Yeah.
Yeah, double down on who you are. Take advantage of the model that you have.
When I would say also learn the model
Oh.
and make sure that your team leader understands the model so that they can teach it. And then you teach, they teach, everybody teaches.
Well, there are times I'm not sure that I recognize the model, right? I mean, I know what the model was or is supposed to be today, but, and you heard John talk about the ALC. One of the foundational pieces of this organization was understanding that it's not always about the money and recognizing that people want to contribute, they want to participate, and finding individuals and organizing them in an ALC that allows them to be a part of making something great. Actually, people care about that.
Right.
They actually do want that, right?
They absolutely do.
Yeah, and taking advantage of that, that's right.
Well, I think you have to understand MREA, number one, because you're teaching agents how to get better. And if you can't do that, what are you doing? That's the only reason we even opened an office. We thought there was something better. We worked for other real estate companies that didn't teach us anything.
Right.
And so it was more of an evangelistic thing where we said, look, these agents deserve better.
You know, it's kind of funny, if I can digress for just a second. I was with a group of really outstanding producers who had come into Austin and were meeting with me, and we met for about 3 or 4 hours. And at the end of it, we were getting ready to leave, and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, Century 21's been around since the beginning of time, and you guys have been in business a good while. Can you name me one thing that Century 21 taught you or contributed to the industry that you picked up on? Not that you were with them, but can you name anything that they did to contribute to your life or your career? And they thought about it for a second. They went, nope. I said, well, Coldwell Banker's been around forever too. Can you think of one thing that Coldwell Banker has actually done to contribute to the way you think or the way you run your business? And they thought about it and they went, no, as an industry, I can't think of that. I said, well, how about RE/MAX? I mean, they've been around since 70. I mean, Dave Liniger is a pretty awesome dude. So can you tell me anything that was said or taught that as an industry actually changed the way you thought, that when you wake up in the morning, you can look at the way you run your business and you can attribute that to that organization? And they said, no. I said, well, you know, Compass has been around almost 7 years now. I said, can you think of one thing that Robert Rifkin has said that meant anything to you, much less that did anything to actually change the way you do business? And said, can't think of it. I said, well, the EXP's been around 6 years. How about that? I'm just curious, anything. They said, no. I said, okay, Keller Williams. And they all just sat back and went,
Wow.
well, maybe everything.
That's what I'd say.
And I went, there you go.
Yeah.
I said, that's who we are.
Yeah.
I said that, and you got to capitalize on that. If you move away from that, right? If you move away from the value that this model offers, then you're being suckered into their game.
Yeah.
They should be suckered into your game and try to catch you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what would you tell me? I want to go build a business like you have, Gene. So how do I do that?
I would tell you, Gary, come back to the basics. And the basic foundation is find talented people with work ethic that are loyal and treat others the way you want to be treated. And truly, I believe that has been the foundation of our success. I have 6 team leaders that on a daily basis, they verbalize to me, it's my job to protect our agents.
Right.
And right there, that tells me all that they will step up to the plate to learn new systems, to learn new ideas, and present them, and bring those agents into a fortress that they'll feel safe.
How about expense management? I'm just curious. Do you guys manage your expenses, or you just spend out of sight? I'm just curious.
I go line by line every single time. We actually have 3 market centers. The third one, my wife's the OP of. We go through the balance sheet all the way through the income statement, everything. We question everything. And our MCA is out there somewhere, and she will back that up.
Yeah.
And I will back that up. I will say, when we do want to go over budget, we figure out how to do it. It's either to grow more cappers, to bring in more cappers, or to find a different way to increase where we need to have that extra income to come in to compensate for that. And sometimes the need's really important to go over budget. And I'll give you an example with technology. I believe that we all need to be ahead of the curve on this. We cannot wait daily for a memo to come from you saying, please put this out. It is our job to try to figure it out along with you. I don't have the capability of doing that. I wish I could tell you
I don't either, by the way.
that I could. So finding that right person to be the director of innovation for our Rawls group was super important. I did not think of that idea on my own. My team leaders aided with that idea, and we went ahead without it being in the budget, and you may take me aside after this meeting, and brought a director of innovation in that really started in January to figure out how to get everyone to adopt ahead of time, how to get their database ready so they are poised when you hit the button to go. And now we're in the phase of trying to put that out to the other 5 market centers. I can't do that alone.
No.
And that is where I do find that it's important sometimes to go over budget.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that one iota. The only thing I would say to all of us as business owners, team leaders, any of us that have a budget, and that is you should pick the profit you want to aim towards, and then you should build a budget to, given whatever the compensation, competitive compensation you have to create in your market, and then you build a model around that, and then you make sure your budget doesn't overspend what that is, right?
I agree.
Otherwise, you'll spend every dollar you can make. Like they say, that the profit that you seek is in the money you manage. It's not in the gross income, because you can spend every dollar you make. You only make money by managing money, right? All right, last question then, you two. One piece of advice to any OP sitting in the audience and thinking, okay, give me your best advice, your piece of advice that I'm going to leave here and go, wow, that was worth the whole thing. No pressure. Take your time.
Okay, I would say make sure you have enough of ownership in the market center to make it worth your time.
Okay. Got it. Jean, what do you say?
My one piece of advice is one word: trust. Trust the people you're in business with, and that starts with KWRI to your region, and then your leadership group that you lead. And if on any level you don't have that trust, then you need to step back and reevaluate what business you're in.
Yeah, got it. All right, you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you for all you do, Jean. Thank you for all you do, Bill. Yes, thank you. All right, we have one more quick panel, and we're out of here. Yeah, I do believe, by the way, what they're saying is right, and that is you have to lead with the advantages you have. If you get suckered into someone else's business plan, you got a challenge.
Good. There you go.
Hello, you two. Have a seat. You can give me
Hello.
a hug, dear. Good to see you. You can give me a hug, too. Hello. All right, last conversation of the day. For me, it's the last conversation of Mega Camp, so I said that the total best for last. This is awesome, right?
Excellent.
All right,
Couple Canadians out there.
Huh?
Couple Canadians out there.
So you know I'll sit like this. So what intrigues me is you guys have you've gone through some challenges.
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought it would be fun at the end of the day to talk to some individuals who've gone through incredible challenge and come out the backside. So walk me through what's happened in your life. Let's talk about what happened to the market. Well, we could talk about it twice, right, if we wanted
Twice.
to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we could talk about it twice, but as succinctly as you can, just walk us through those scenarios and how you ended up on the backside. You can start, and Ron, jump in and contribute as you go.
Okay, I'm an OP now. I was an assistant to a realtor who was working at a Keller Williams, and while we were at family reunion 10 years ago now, we were receiving an award for top 5 in GCI, and our office converted to another brand without telling the agents. So the realtor I was working for, Josh Bath, and I
Which
were
is
like,
actually illegal, but
yeah. So we were like, I was like, oh no, you can't do this. Like, this is not right. We have to go back and fix this, because I love the models. He loved the models. And so we got on a plane and came home and called a meeting with anybody who wanted to listen. And I talked to my regional director and got permission to open a franchise. And and a lawyer I used to work for who gave us a 400 square foot space. And we held a meeting locally, and we told the agents, look, I've never run a company before, but I'm not going to lie to you, and I have integrity. So if that's enough for you while I fumble my way through this, then we want you to come along. And we expected about 10 agents to come with us that day, and we got 112. So it was a really big deal.
It's a really big deal. Yeah.
And now fast forward on our 10-year anniversary-ish, and Ron has been an amazing join to the team since then. He's our team leader. And it was in July that we found out, we had inklings that there was a Keller Williams brokerage in the area that was looking to switch brands, sell. And I'd been in touch with my regional director, David Bristow, and we talked about the fact that this could be coming. And sure enough, we caught wind of it ahead of time, before their agents had been told about it. He's chomping at the bit to get to this.
We got the 11th hour call,
Yeah.
and then all hands on deck. So, of course, we waited for permission from Region to reach out to anybody. Sure. So we reached out.
I reached out.
We got everybody on. We got our ALC involved. I have a really smart maps coach that I called for strategy, because our hope was that we were going to save most of these agents because they needed to stay KW. The brokerage had 101 agents. At the end of the day, we saved 78% of them. They came to KW. A couple trickled in after, but the majority of them came in within the month of July.
Did they move to your market center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they physically moved to we had people signing up, filling out paperwork everywhere.
So it's really fascinating that you lived through two of those where the departing owner thought that they were going to take the business with them. And in
The
both
culture is what.
in both cases, they didn't take them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give credit to culture and the models.
Isn't that interesting?
They really didn't.
When it all came through the wash, all that transferred over to the original brokerage that was going to buy the franchise were 2 producing agents and a half capper, and everybody else stayed with KW or a few trickled off to other brokerages. But we had the opportunity to resell our brand, because they now knew there was a different opportunity. They either chose to stay with KW, or we were back on the market, right?
So here's what everyone wants to hear then, and that is, so what is it that made it special that people went, I'll go, I'll stay with you guys? Why? I mean, what did you tell them? I mean, what would you show them? I'm just curious.
The way we approached this wasn't as we've got a grab of 101 potential agents. It was, we need to help these people stay where they need to stay.
Okay.
There's no other brand than Keller Williams out there for our agents to be successful and make a boatload of money. So we approached it from a position of contribution, where we needed to help them stay where they needed to grow their business and to support their families. And they really appreciated that. They felt like they were supported.
And for me, it was because I'd gone through it once before. I now knew a lot of the feelings that they were having. So my phone calls were, I get it, you're scared, you have questions, you're angry, you don't know what's going on right now, and I might not be able to answer all of them, but I can give you a safe place to land to conduct your business while you make your decisions. That's all we want to be. And then we'll move forward from there. And then it was like Xanadu for them, because they all came in and went, this is what your sales meetings look like? This is what is all this? What models? What classes? You have classes? And it was just,
Really?
What came forward was they had come away from the model. And everybody asks why we've become so successful. And I think that when I hear people complain about how things aren't going the way that they want them to go as a leader in the company, I say, you know what, follow the model. And if you're following that model and it's still not working, then that's a Gary conversation. But I've not yet seen anybody who follows it that doesn't crank it out. So we've got a great culture and the back end systems. Our staff onboarded 52 people in 1 month.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no, we had our ALC reaching out to the agents to let them know that they had a home, that they would be looked after. We made some business decisions that short term may have penalized us financially. We could have just started their cap again.
Yeah.
We honored their cap from the other brokerage. And flash forward again, we're now at 308 agents. Last month we had our most profitable month and set records on listings taken, listings
And
sold.
what'd you make last month?
Last month?
Yeah.
$61,000 in owner profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So you do the work up front and the revenue follows, right?
We did the right thing, yeah, and now we're seeing numbers we've never seen in our entire
Yeah, I
industry
saw that.
of our company.
Yeah, I saw your
Yeah.
numbers.
But last year, I take on a new maps coach and he says, hey, I'm looking at your numbers. What's the story here, right? Because they didn't reflect, but we had done so much to honor where these people were and not penalize them for what they were going through that we had to take the dip first, and now we're coming out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, the majority of those agents have stayed with us. So that's a
Yep.
tell for it. It keeps us in check to make sure that we're continuing to add value to our agents.
So my question then would be, how are you running a business such that you feel that is attractive? What are you doing when you say they came in and went, whoa, what is all this? We didn't know this was Keller Williams. What is it you're describing?
We follow the MREA book. It's not complicated. You have a robust training calendar. You have agents that care and want to show up and share best practices. You give them an environment for them to be successful and to be profitable in, and care on them. So that's it.
Yeah, on-site ownership. Josh and I are on-site every day of the week. They come in and they see the ownership believes in it that much that we're there. That's a big deal. The culture is a huge piece. Our staff are, I would say, top grade.
Yeah.
There is nothing better out there. And we have an agent concierge in our office too that for the first 90 days, any agent joins our office, they are given an agent concierge who helps them with absolutely everything, transferring listings, ordering business cards. We want them to be able to get out and get selling. So really the systems that we have in place got tested to the max, but they did well. We were busy, but the systems supported all of it. Nothing broke. So yeah, that was a really
It was an opportunity to be awesome
test.
or something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we chose awesome.
yeah.
I like the choice. I like the choice. All right, if you were going to give me a piece of advice, then I'm sitting in the audience, I'm listening to this audio recording later, and I'm going, okay, I want to be running that kind of business. What are the things I have to do that? You say in model, you gave a hint to that. Just tell me what that is, both of you. What do you think it is?
For me, it is follow the model, and it's also we treat our staff, our leadership team, our agents like family. That's a big part of who we are. You walk into our office and you feel taken care of because we truly care. We care about what happened with your son's soccer game last weekend. We care about your wedding. We care about, we're reaching out. We're touching on our agents all the time. Whenever we know there's something important going on with them, that's a big deal because anybody can take someone's license and onboard them and walk away. That's easy.
It's hard to leave a relationship.
Yeah.
And when you see people leave a business, a market center, let's say, most of the time it's because they're out of relationship with the business. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
That's the number one cause of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They
So
call
you
me
show
Mama
you-
Bear at the office because they know I got them. It doesn't matter what it is, we're
Yes.
going to find a solution to it.
Yes,
And it's
absolutely.
important to keep that.
So number one, get in relationship, show that you care. What's number two?
Hold them accountable.
Oh, okay.
So it's great to create a warm, fuzzy environment and love on everybody all the time. And I think a portion of that is every agent has goals, dreams, ambitions. Everyone has somewhere they want to go. And the better job we do at helping them get down that path to their ultimate goal, that's true support in my mind, in our mind. So it's
challenge them.
And I'll ask permission. I'll say, how serious are you? How accountable do you want to be held? Because we'll sit down every day and have a conversation about that. And that's fantastic. So, and the agents who put their hands up and go, yep, I want to play, then we get to play.
Then you play. What's the next step? Show I care, build relationship, challenge our agents.
It really is, and it's follow up, follow up, follow up. How did you do on that listing appointment last week? How did you do? And as we get bigger, yes, we hit challenges in that area, but our retention numbers are amazing for the most part.
What you're saying is get engaged in the lives of your people.
Yes.
They're not an unknown faceless individual. They have real lives, they have real goals, wherever they are, big or small, whatever, right? And they're going out on appointments. They're trying or doing whatever they're going to do, and get engaged with them, show you care.
As much as there are people behind our numbers in leadership while we're looking at our numbers, there are people behind their numbers in their businesses. So their family members and loved ones are all behind their numbers, and if we don't help them succeed, then we're letting those people down in their lives too. So it trickles down. It's super important. Stay plugged in.
Yeah, it's really interesting in those market centers where, and this is over the history of our firm, so it's not just in what you experienced, where the market center owner says, I've kind of had it and I'm out of here. What's really fascinating is how many people don't go with them. And literally becomes the basis for an amazing new market center. And I think the reason that happens is because they've quit believing in the model themselves as owners.
Yes.
And as a result, they don't hold the team leader accountable, and the next thing you know, they're not Keller Williams, they're just something else.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is though they underestimate the value of what it is that we're trying to be in as business people. And when the real value, in your case, you've done it twice now, showed up and said, this is who we really are, this is what the company's about, I've seen it. It doesn't hold very much in this company at all, but in the handful of times that I've seen it, the people didn't go. They didn't, the big numbers did not disappear. The big numbers actually went and joined other market centers, or they joined a new market center and said, whoa, well, if this is what it's about, I'm happy to stay, which is really weird.
And if you keep aware, there are signs that show up before market centers go down those roads. I was in talks with David Brousseau long before this even happened, because I could tell they stopped going to training, they stopped coming to the big events in Austin. All of a sudden, they're not buying those plane tickets and engaging, and they're not running their training programs, and their agents are starting to reach out to us because they're not getting support at the level that they used to. And so if you're actually paying attention, you can see that it's coming.
So in fact, if you lost your way as a market center and you wanted to find your way back, that actually it has nothing to do with staying or going. You simply realize you've somehow your business has lost its way, and you want to find your way back because you do care and you do want it to go to the highest level. Final words on this: what would you tell that ownership and team leader? What would you tell them?
Treat it like a relationship you care about. Treat it like your marriage. We've got to work on it every single day.
Yeah,
and with open lines of communication, honest communication, it's really easy to look at a multi-year trend report and go, fantastic, we're doing great. And if we don't know the story behind the numbers and the people involved in that, then we're not doing our job as leaders in a market center. So stay in touch, ask tough questions so that use your ALC as a sounding board and a bit of an acid test. To get the true pulse of what's happening in your market center.
And to hear what you need to do to get that back at a level that you would be proud of and that you want to do.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got really smart agents, really smart partners.
People are smart. If you ask them, they'll tell you. That's exactly right. What do you think? Final words.
I think that the important thing is sometimes you have to recore. So you need to go look at your roster in all seriousness and go, who are my players here? Because sometimes they're not who you think they are. There might not be the person saying, I'm a player. There's hidden gems in your roster. So find the ones that are engaging, influential, love the models, are showing up for everything, pull them into a room and say, okay, ground zero, let's do it. Let's lay out everything we know to be true, which are the models. I tell everybody, get that book out, lay it out. We're running this like a business, and let's start from scratch. And what it has to start with is the people.
Yeah, you have to find people that want to be successful through the way you do business. If you find yourself, unfortunately, with a top producer or some top producers, and they don't really buy into what you're doing, but they are still there, they're occupying a leadership position that actually puts a lid on the business. Trying to break back through with those people becomes a huge priority, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to re-engage and see if you can re-recruit them back to wanting to be a team member and a contributor. If not, then it's not that I ask those people to leave, but if they're good people, I don't,
Yeah.
I would never do that. But my goal becomes to make them irrelevant to the success of my business, meaning that I'm going to go recruit people that will challenge them in terms of production.
Yeah.
And possibly we can then recruit them. If not, they can be whatever they're going to be, but they don't have any power anymore. Does that make
We
sense?
tend to give that power away, I think, on our journey along the way. I
Well, we
know I did.
underestimate the importance of that power.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a void of leadership.
Yeah.
There's positive leadership, there's negative leadership. There's always leadership. And when you see a market center begin to struggle,
Yes.
what you're going to see is either ownership and or team leader have abandoned doubling down on the model,
Absolutely.
and or they have individuals who occupy the position of leadership, and they're negatively leading.
Yeah.
They're actually recruiting people without meaning to recruit them necessarily,
Yeah.
but they're demeaning or diminishing what you want
Yeah.
the business to be about. Thus, that becomes an issue. And I stumbled in that in the weirdest way, because I had 5 of my top 10 producers got recruited away back in the 80s.
Right.
And I liked these people, and I didn't really realize the damage they were doing to me until they were gone. And then the people that were right behind them came forward and became real leaders, and the world changed for me. It became a much happier place. It became a place that I really enjoyed coming to work to again, to be honest with you. And I never would have thought
easier.
that. They weren't bad people, by the way,
Yeah.
but they had quit trying to be a contributor or a leader in any way. And they occupied the leadership positions, though. So everyone looked at them, and no one could challenge them for leadership, because that person would say, well, I outsell you, thus you don't have any value, so everybody should listen to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
it's
not
the
it.
truth. And that does occur, and it's really, I think that's one of the challenges of leadership, is making sure that you're not buying into that.
Yeah, that's right. All right, you guys, thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you. It's an honor to be in business with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, dear. Yep, thanks. All right, guys, we're out of here. I'm dropping the mic after 4 days.